Whether you're just using studio monitors or you're using a subwoofer as well, getting the positioning right is one of the most effective ways to optimize performance. The first step is to determine the room layout. Ideally, you'll have symmetry from left to right, with the listening position centered between the two side walls. This helps ensure that the stereo image from left to right is as accurate as possible and not influenced by asymmetry in the room. In addition to this principle, it's usually recommended that you set up a rectangular room by facing a short wall with the long walls to your sides. This will place the back wall as far away as possible, reducing the impact of reflections off of the back wall. I understand you may not be working in ideal conditions, and that's totally fine. Just do the best you can with the room you're working in and start practicing as soon as possible. That will go a lot further toward improving your mixes than waiting for acoustical perfection. And this brings up a good opportunity for me to mention the new Mixing Essentials course from Audio University. It's designed to help you understand 4 essential mixing tools: EQ, compression, reverb, and delay. You can become an Audio University member and get access to over 60 lessons by using the link in the description below the video. Another helpful studio monitor placement tip is to place the monitors so that the high frequency drivers, called tweeters, are facing directly toward your ears. That's because high frequency sound is more directional than low frequency sound, so we want the high frequency drivers pointed directly to the listening position. This could include not only angling the monitors inward to the listener, but also ensuring that the monitors aren't too high or too low. You can place them on monitor stands to bring the tweeters up to ear level, or to angle the speakers upward or downward so the tweeters point toward your ears. A final placement tip is to aim for an equilateral triangle between each monitor and the listening position, where the distance between the listener and each monitor is equal to the distance between the monitors. This setup not only optimizes the stereo image to be wide enough without being too wide, but it also ensures that each monitor is equally spaced from the listening position. And this is very, very important. If the left speaker and right speaker are different distances from the listener, it can cause problems including stereo image distortion and phase interference, just to name a few. And we want to place the subwoofer with the same principle in mind if you're using a subwoofer. While a subwoofer gives you a bit more margin for error, it's still important that we optimize the relationship between the subwoofer and the studio monitors. And there are many ways to do this. For one, aim to place the subwoofer about the same distance from the listening position as the other monitors. Ideally, the sub will be in the middle, directly in front of the listener, but it's not the end of the world if you have to put it over to one side or the other, because we localize low frequencies differently than we localize mid and high frequencies. The goal is to configure the system so that the sound from the studio monitors and the subwoofer will reach the listener at the same time, specifically at the crossover frequency. See, the subwoofer will only produce low frequencies, and the studio monitors will only produce higher frequencies. The point where the subwoofer and the studio monitors interact the most is the crossover frequency, which can be selected with this knob on the subwoofer. If your subwoofer doesn't have a built-in crossover, you can do this within an audio interface, but this is a bit beyond the scope of this video. To really optimize the crossover takes some listening and experimentation, and perhaps even some objective measurements. I'd recommend you start by playing a song you're familiar with and listening. Then adjust the crossover frequency and experiment with the polarity switch until you find a configuration that sounds best to you. You can even experiment with moving the subwoofer closer or further, as not all subwoofers and studio monitors will have the same phase response.